Welcome to the Coffee with Closer show, where we interview real investors that are doing real deals in this current market about how they are finding, funding, and flipping the deals. We talk about what they are doing that is working and the things they did that didn't work so that you can save time and money as you become a real investor. Welcome to the Coffee with Closer show. Hey everyone, yes, we are here. We're ready to rock with another Coffee with Closer show, and I've got somebody that we're going to dig into. He's got some deals that he's been doing. He was just sharing a little bit about it, about how sometimes in deals we make mistakes, even when you've been doing it as long as Jamel has for 18 years, or me even 16 years. And, so part of the process of the Coffee with Closer show is not to just always talk about how we close so many deals and look at us. No, there's reality in this. And that's why one of our questions is always what went wrong, right? Because I don't want you, if you're new and you're watching this, to just think that every deal you're going to do, you're going to make 40 grand on. It don't work that way. And you're probably starting to catch on to that as I've been interviewing real estate investors doing real deals in this current market. And so, Jamel, you with me, man?
I am here, man. What's up?
I'm good, man. So I like your painting in the background there.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm actually in my game room right now.
Oh, yeah?
Table over there.
Yeah. Got your Lamborghini outside?
All of that stuff. I wanted to show this to you as well, man.
Pull it out. What you got?
You had that cool picture in the background there. So, real estate boss. I wanted to show you the Grip It and Flip It award.
The Grip It and Flip It award. Look at you, man. All muscled out there.
Grip It and Flip It award. I love going to the gym, so.
I know you do, man. We were just at a mastermind together, and you guys hopped over to see somebody that you had been following for years, I guess, right?
Yeah, BPAC, man. He's awesome. I've been following his stuff since 2012, and I bought pretty much every program he's ever put out. And
he's in the weightlifting niche, right? Or health niche?
He's an IFBB pro. So gotcha. He competes against the big guys like Kai Green and Phil Heath and all of those guys. And right now he owns a gym in Tampa called MP40. And it's pretty awesome. Or MI40, I'm sorry, MI40. And he's just awesome, man. So shout out to Ben Pekowski.
Yeah, I remember you and why am I going blank right now?
Dave Corbley.
Corbley, yeah. You and Corbley went to go see him.
Yep.
I was like, what are you guys doing in the morning? You're like, we're going to the gym to meet this guy. I was like, whoa, okay. That's just not something I normally say when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I try to hit it. I try to hit it 5-6 days a week consistently, and I eat right.
Yeah, you do a good job, man. I need to follow your lead. All right, so we got our coffee. Hopefully you got your coffee and you're ready to go. So, Jamel, first question I'm going to fire right off with is, obviously you're a rock star in your world. You do real estate. You help people. You help people nationally. You're not just a guru out there helping people. You're helping people and doing deals too. But it didn't start that way for you. Obviously, we all had some start in our journey. So I want to go back to that. I want to go back, and I don't want to spend the whole time talking about the journey, but at what point, I'm assuming it was 18 years ago, what was it? Was it a book? Was it a mentor? Was it a seminar? Was it you hated your job? What was it that made you say, I'm going to go be a crazy real estate investor?
Well, it's kind of funny. We're talking prior to 18 years ago, I was in high school. We're talking about 1998-ish, around that time. I was a junior in high school, and I was up late at night, and I saw Carlton Sheets commercial. And you know what
I got his course too.
Yep, I spent $249 on that course, man, and that kind of opened up the, no matter what they say about the guy, man, he opened up the doors for me to believe that real estate was possible.
Right.
But I ended up jumping into. I was fresh out of high school, talking the year 2000-ish. I went down to Wall Street. I was introduced to Wall Street, and I didn't go to college. I had an option of going to college, and for me, I wasn't the smartest the smartest person in the box. So I ended up, I got accepted to a community college.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I ended up not going. I registered, but I didn't go. It was Medgar Evers in Brooklyn, New York. And I decided to go and take a job on Wall Street because I saw bigger things happening with that. Now, I've been in business my entire life. My mom started me when I was around 7 years old on a newspaper route. And, I was working in a barbershop by the time I was 14 and, all kinds of businesses throughout the year.
Entrepreneurial spirit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So now you've come out of high school. You're like, hey, look, I'm not going to go to a Harvard or a Yale, which I'm with you, my friend. I actually dropped out of high school, but there's still, if you got the drive and the will, you'll make it happen, right?
Right.
So you went to community college and you said, hey, look, you know what? Let me go check out Wall Street. So I'm assuming you went into Wall Street, worked for a firm or a company there. Is that when you got the burnout and said, look, I need to go figure this real estate thing out?
Great question, man. So I ended up, for me, I worked on Wall Street for a year. I learned what hard work was. And I learned that the only difference between them and me at that time, meaning the guys in the office, was time. I learned that.
Right.
I learned about Tony Robbins and all kinds of motivational stuff while I was down there. But at the end of the day, the transition came when 9/11 happened. So the company that I was working for, the headquarters was located in the World Trade Center. We ended up going out of business after the towers went down, very shortly after. So I had to find something else to do. We're talking 2001. Come 2002, I was introduced to real estate again. So I'm looking at it like maybe this is something I should look into.
Right.
And I jumped into real estate full force. And
so that was around 2002.
Around 2002, I jumped into real estate 100%. I was actually doing real estate while I was still. I went back to the barbershop.
Okay.
I had to make some money. I ended up working in a barbershop while I was doing real estate, and of course, the guys in the barbershop.
Yeah.
I sold. Hey, man, I did everything. I sold Herbalife products. I sold, any type of MLM you could think of. I did it all, man. I did everything.
So all of that, right? Obviously, I'm a believer that everything we've ever done in our past leads us to the point that we're in today, right?
Very true.
And you can connect it somehow, some way is my personal belief on that. And so you've tried all those other things. And look, let's be honest. There's people who make millions of dollars in Herbalife and multi-level marketing. I have nothing against that. It's all a hustle. You got to hustle. You got to work. You got to hustle. You got to get up, get it done. But what made you stick with real estate, though? Jamel, what was it about real estate that you said, man, this is my spot?
So there was a guy that I knew back then. His name was Brent. And he started buying real estate. He's a little older than I am, but he started buying real estate really young. And I was fascinated by his lifestyle being so young. And I said, I can do that.
Yeah, right.
I'm the type of person you can't tell me I can't do it because I'm going to get it done.
Right.
So I tried everything. I didn't know because back then they didn't really have a lot of mentors besides Carlton Sheets. He had like a $3,000 program at that time, but I didn't register for that. But I just tried everything to get it done, and it took me 13 months. But I made my first $1,500 check in real estate, and that next check after that. Now think about this: that next check was $48,000. If I would have quit during that 13 months, I would have never received that life-changing check. And I was living in the projects at that time, man.
Well, you said something earlier, and I take a lot of notes when we do this, and I should have wrote it down. But you said when you got on Wall Street, you realized that the only difference between you and those guys was time.
That's right.
It was time. And when you say time, you mean they had just been in it longer than you, and so you were seeing the success over time that they had built.
That's right. I saw what they were able to do in a relatively short period of time. When you're looking at time,
right.
From the
it's the truth of anything we do, right? Whether it's starting a business, remodeling a house, getting healthy.
Yep.
You know, we look at other people that are very successful in business and we don't realize that it took them time to get there, right? Like they had trials and tribulations and they, you know, we're only seeing the top surface. There's a great success poster, and I have it somewhere in one of my hallways around here, where it shows the iceberg. You know, it shows just the top sticking out of the water and it says success. And then underneath it, it's like late nights, you know, drive, passion, you know, going broke, coming back. You know, it's got all these things under there.
Man. Love that. Because it's the truth, man. You think about it, you know, a lot of people want instant success.
Yes.
They don't see the dirty work and the late nights. You know, I could tell you stories about, you know, over the years from 2002 to 2012, you know, my wife and I, we rode that market right on up.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did very well. And we'll talk about that in a little more detail if you want. But for the most part, come 2008, I had too much out there. I lost everything. So I had to rebuild it. And it took me 10 months to get everything back, but I did it.
Right.
But, you know, what people didn't see was, you know, when we were starting, you know, from 2002, 2005, around that time when the market really started heating up, we would be up to 5 o'clock in the morning handwriting yellow letters because they didn't have the same systems and processes that they have today. They didn't have that stuff back.
I say that all the time, man.
Right? So people don't really understand how easy
they have it now. You know, that means we're getting old. You know that, right?
Hey, man, I'm only 38.
I don't care. We're getting old. When we can sit here and say to the next generation, you don't know how easy you got it. That's the same thing our parents said to us, man.
Yep. Then you had guys like Chris Chico and Kent Clothier come out with, you know, these postcard systems, which made things a lot easier.
Yeah.
As time went on. They were ahead of their time back then as well.
So here's what I remember. 10, 11 years ago, I used to be out on a big speaker circuit, and I had software, Kent had software, and Jason Medley had software. Yep. And we were always invited to the same summits and seminars to talk about our software. Awesome. Because, like, no one really had these types of softwares out there yet. And me and Kent and Jason used to always get together, and we used to say, hey, look, we're the three legs to the table, right? I had the offering software. He had the buyer software, or four legs. He had the buyer software and seller software, and Jason had the money software, how to find private monies, right? Before he sold that back to Jason or Kent. So we were like this little, like, if you bought our softwares, you had everything you needed, right? Yeah, pretty much. It wasn't like that when I started, right? No, and now today, man, everybody's got some technology, right? Yeah. I mean, it's
which is awesome.
Living. Yeah, it absolutely
shows how the business evolved. It shows how, you know, shout out to everybody who has some type of software out there.
100%.
Right? Helping people. That's what this is all about, because it's too easy to make money in real estate. The problem that I do have is, and this is kind of changing the direction of our conversation a little bit, but the problem that I do have is, are people getting prepared for another market dip if it were to happen? Are you prepared? Because a lot of people are focused on wholesaling. The best tactic, the best strategy by far to get started in real estate. But are you preparing your mindset? Are you preparing for if there were to be a market dip and buyers do walk away from the table?
Well, and I don't think it's if there is, it's going to happen. We don't know when. You know, right. I do, this is something that we do. I run a local REIA. And so what we do is about every month or so, we do what's called a market analysis. And so we look at all the counties around us, where their sales are at this month, last month, a year ago, because of what you said. We're just trying to keep our fingers on the pulse of, is the market turning? You know, are prices dropping? And so I think it's important that if people are in a market, maybe they don't have someone in their market putting out free training like that we do for our REIA members. Awesome. They need to be doing it themselves with someone. So I agree with you. So let's do this, man. Let's dig in a little bit more. So on average, what do you say? I mean, about how many deals or contracts are you selling a year right now? You know, are you in the 20 range, 50 range, 150 range? Where are you at?
100 plus.
You're at 100 plus contracts or deals sold every year.
Yep.
So you're moving it, man. You're moving.
I'm trying, man.
You're moving, man. That's awesome. 100 plus deals a year. I love that. Which makes you a coffee with closers.
Awesome, man.
So what kind of deals are you primarily focused on right now in today's market?
So in today's market, we're not, if you'd asked me this question 3 years ago, I had a different answer for you.
Right.
But we were doing a lot of rehabs just a few years ago, a lot of rehabs.
Okay.
We transitioned our business over into creative investing, which we'll talk about a couple of those deals today.
Okay.
And a lot of wholesaling as well, because it's virtually no risk. I don't like to say no risk.
Of course, right.
There's minimized risks when you're using creative strategies as well as wholesaling. So we could talk about that stuff.
Okay. So my other question then is going to be, hold on one second.
Oh, we did a lot of rehabs, we new construction, we did all of that stuff. But our primary focus is on wholesaling and creative stuff right now.
I just needed to change a setting real quick, man. All right, we're good. Right. So wholesaling and rehabbing, but you said now you're more wholesaling and creative. So talk to me about what you mean by creative.
So we do a lot of lease options.
Okay, yeah.
Finance, wraparounds. The reason why we do that stuff, again, you can literally get into these deals with, and I'll tell you exactly how I do it, but we can get into these deals with no money, like $0 out of pocket.
Yep.
No risk, no bank loans. Back in 2007, 2008, when I had all of that money out there and the market tanked, I had a lot of money out on rehabs. I lost everything. I paid all of that money back, which is an important key thing I want to bring out. Always do what you say you're going to do, even if it hurts.
Yep.
So if you told the lender that you're going to give them their investment back plus a profit, do it. Yeah. Because it will help you. It will benefit you in the long run.
They'll come back.
It'll come back to you. Exactly.
And because now they're like, hey, look, you went through bad times. You still paid me. So here, you got another deal. I'll loan you money.
That's how I stayed in business. That's how I was able to rebuild within that 10 months.
I've said that for years, man. Like, you always pay your privates or your hard money lenders back because they're the ones that are going to get you back out of that hole that you might be going into.
That's right, man.
So let's talk about this. So what's the deal we're going to be talking about today? Is it going to be a wholesale or one of your creative financing deals?
Since we're stepping into a market transition, why don't we talk about some creative ways for investors to get started?
Okay, so we're going to dig into one of your creative deals that you just done, correct?
Yeah, we could talk about two recent ones we can talk about.
So then let's talk about this. So we're going to get a little bit more into the numbers here in a minute. But so on this creative deal, that the one we're going to talk about, was it a lease option? Was it a wrap? What was it?
So this particular one was an owner finance deal.
Okay. So they carried the note and you just came in, took over the payment. Was it a subject to?
No, it was
just straight seller financing.
Straight seller finance.
Okay. How did you find that deal?
Good old postcards, man.
Okay, so you were doing postcards to find it. Who were you mailing to?
At that time, it was a vacant property list.
So it was you were just mailing to, was it all like in-state, out-of-state, or just out-of-state, or was it a mix?
I did a mixture of both. So we did, we probably do, I try to pull every single vacant property lead available in my area or any market, because we're in 9 different markets. Mm-hmm. But I try to pull a list for every single one and mail the whole list.
Understand. So that's whether they live in state or out of state. Right. So you don't segment that list and change your message to the people who live in state versus who live out of state, or you do?
I don't. It depends. It depends on how we're targeting. When we're following up, we do change the message slightly.
Okay.
But it's such a generic message that we use,
right?
And it doesn't really matter.
Hey, and you said something that I want to make sure people listen to. You said it was through a postcard. And so do you have a process when you're mailing for these leads? Like, do you do like postcard, letter, or do you just do a postcard?
Great question, man. So what we do, we send a postcard every 8 weeks. So we'll pick one list. Let's just say vacant properties.
Yep.
I'll send, let's say it's January. I'll send again in March. Then I'll send in May. Then I'll send in July, so on and so forth. So
all postcards though.
All postcards. But what's happening is the seller, we're touching them 6 times through a postcard.
Right.
In between those calls, we do the ringless voicemails, we do email blasts, we do text messages. So we're hitting them multiple.
So you're touching them multiple times in between each postcard.
Exactly.
I got you. Okay, so that's your follow-up right there.
Yep.
And I think that's important for people to understand, because I talk to a lot of people that go, oh, well, I sent out 1,000 postcards, I didn't get anything. Well, one, your message was probably wrong, or two, where's all your follow-up at? Where's all your touches? Like they don't know you, right? Like they got to get to know you somehow. And so that's great. So you're doing ringless voicemail, which is slide to voicemail.
Voice broadcast.
Text message.
We always skip trace our list when we buy them, and we scrub them against the do not call registry as well. Gotcha. We do federal do not call.
Yep.
So you got to register if you're a business owner. You got to make sure that you scrub your list every month. They release a new list, so you want to make sure you're scrubbing your list monthly.
Yep.
And what we do is we'll do ringless voicemail. We do email blasts. So I'll have my guy skip trace for emails.
Yep.
We do voice broadcast. We do postcards, and then we also do text messaging as well.
You're all over it, man.
All over, man. You gotta
love it. So that's how we got the deal. So let me ask you this then, since we're talking about postcards, what's your 3 best marketing sources right now? Obviously, postcards is one of them.
Question. I like postcards. Chris Chico introduced me to Facebook traffic, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Even Google, pay-per-click is good. But Facebook for me is by far the best, and it's easy for anybody to really get into.
It's like a postcard online.
Right, exactly. And then you got, we do cold calling as well. So in fact, my guy just called me a second ago, my acquisition specialist, one of them. I'm sure every time he calls me, there's a contract. We actually just got a contract last night, and he's probably locking up another one right now.
That's awesome. So your 3 main things that you would say, hey, this is what's working for me right now is one is the postcard direct mail.
Right.
Facebook ads and cold calling.
There we go.
And I just heard you say you have an acquisitions manager. So you got somebody that's doing the calling, doing the follow-up calls. You have several.
What I do, because we're in 9 different markets, I like to have at least, put it this way, for every $7,500 we spend on marketing, we like to have at least 1 acquisition specialist.
Okay. So, I like that. I never heard it explained like that.
Yeah, usually an acquisition specialist can handle 3 counties. So as we branch out, if we go into another 3 counties, we need another acquisition specialist. Usually it'll take about $7,500 for 3 counties. That's the way we work the numbers. So it's down to assignment.
No, I'm with you. You're spending about $2,500 per county.
Exactly.
So but here's the other thing, like, what if the counties are, offbeat? Like, what if one county has like 1 million people in it and another county only has 80,000 people in it? Are you still running that threshold?
Well, I like to focus the business around major cities.
And what do you call a major city as in population?
1 million plus.
Oh, wow. So you're not even hitting the B communities.
We do. My community that I live in now is a B community, Greensboro. Okay. Yep. It's a B community. So I naturally, I'm going to invest here as well.
Right.
But when we branch out, I don't focus on B communities. I focus on A communities. And what I like to do is once we max out the A community, then we'll start branching out into the B community.
So I'm just going to throw this out there. I mean, obviously your model's working for you. We tend to lean more on B communities.
Less competition.
But there are competition, but it is a lot less. We're not dealing with the 1 million, 2 million communities. Like, and also I'm in the South. You know what I mean? Like we don't have a whole lot of million people cities.
I learned this from another friend of mine, and he's a friend of yours as well. But focus on cities that are east of the Mississippi River. So you got older communities. You got, we're focused on primary markets pretty much.
Yeah.
We focus on primary markets. What happens is you got the populations you need, you got older properties that need work, and you got more opportunities for cash investors.
Yeah, that's true. So my threshold is 250,000 or greater is typically what I try to look for. Or if a general area I'm marketing to, like if one city's 90,000, another city's 80,000, and another city's 50,000, well, that I'll clump those together and say, okay, that meets my 250 threshold. Because I know.
That's just by the way, just to be clear with that, it's not a million only in that city. We're talking about the MSA. We're talking about the metropolitan area.
I got you.
Like for example, where I live here in a triad area, the city only has about 300,000 people where I live. But if I add Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point, we're talking 1 million people there.
I got you. No, that makes sense. Like my MSA here is about 500,000, but I mean, it's a big area, you know, that they encompass all that in. Okay, well, cool. So we got everybody clear on that. Some of your marketing. Thanks for sharing some of your lead streams. So let's go back to this creative financing deal. So you've put the marketing out, you ran the postcards, you did your follow-ups, you got the person in, your acquisition specialist got on the phone, worked the deal, got it a seller financing structured. I'm going to ask you 2 important questions that people need to understand. Number 1 is obviously we're going to talk about what went right, but number 2 is what went wrong on this deal? Like, this is what most people don't talk about, right? But what went wrong on it? Like, what did you do that you looked back now and said, man, we shouldn't have done that, or that was a stupid mistake?
So you want to talk about what's wrong, or you want to talk about what's right first?
Talk about what's wrong first.
Well, on the one deal that we're discussing right now. So when I was working my numbers, I did everything right with the seller. This particular one that we're talking about wasn't necessarily owner finance. It was subject to. I took over those payments for that seller.
Okay.
So she had an existing mortgage. Most investors, by the way, this house, if you did the market analysis, the house was worth probably around $60,000, right? 70 grand, something like that, 65 grand in that range. We ended up taking over the mortgage at 50 grand. Most people, because of the small spread, most wholesalers won't know how to take advantage of something like that. Unfortunately, that's why I mentioned earlier today, you got to start making a transition, a mental shift, to get into different aspects of real estate, because as this market changes, you have to be prepared. You have to have multiple tools in your toolbox in order to make this work. But and that was one thing I was lacking 10, 12 years ago. You know, I had to make that transition over time. But on this deal, everything went right with the seller. When I sold the property, I miscalculated my numbers on the sales end.
So what part did you miscalculate though? Because this is more, you're running this more as a buy and hold, right?
Right.
Like,
so
is it going to cash flow? Am I going to be in a position to, you know?
It was a monthly payment. I shortened myself on a monthly payment.
Oh, gotcha.
With the buyer. So I've just totally missed the number. I dropped the ball on it, just working the numbers too fast.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a little bit about the deal. I ended up, this particular house, I locked up, took over a $50,000 mortgage. The seller's husband died. So I own this house, figure back in June, the seller's husband died. And he owned several properties, but this was one that she couldn't take care of. They were backed up like $5,000 on the payments. I ended up telling her that I'll completely take over her payments and I'll catch her up on the mortgage. So she was willing to do subject to, which worked out great. I found a buyer I basically sold it to the buyer for $70,000. It needed work. So the way that I work these deals, I get into these properties, they need work. I don't do anything to the properties. The buyer comes in, they rehab the property themselves. And I'll just max out what I can potentially get on the front end on the sale.
So you're creating a spread. You're getting it for one price. You're selling it on a seller finance model too on a higher price. You're making sure the payment with the seller is low enough that the payment you can charge the new buyer, there's cash flow to be made there as well.
Well, this seller had a monthly payment of, it was $432 a month. I knew I could sell it because the rents in that area were going for at least $1,000. So I sold it for $1,000 per month at $70,000. Now I knew that she was backed up $5,000. I ended up asking for $15,000 down. So I took $5,000 of that 15,
paid off the arrearages,
and the rest of the money went right in my pocket.
So that means that. So I just want to get everybody on the same page, because here's why, man. There's going to be people who watch this that have no clue what kind of deal you're doing, right? So when you're using like arrearages or back payments, that's typically what happens when a homeowner isn't making payments. And so they're close to foreclosure, they're close to a less pending or a notice of default or an auction. And if you can go in and clean up those arrearages, back payments, taxes, interest, penalty fees, you can get them out of foreclosure. Was that the scenario with this one?
I got her out of foreclosure.
Okay.
I'm still making a monthly payments because the mortgage is still in her name.
Right.
And we're making monthly payments now. When I worked out, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just making sure people keep up with you.
I gotta remember sometimes.
Right. So on this deal, so you got them out of foreclosure. You had an agreement with them that you were going to buy the property subject to the loan in place, and you're going to make the current payments on the property.
That's correct.
And so you're making those payments. Your new buyer is paying you $1,000 a month, which means you're probably pocketing what, $500-600 a month on this thing?
About $500 a month.
$500 a month
because we out of that $1,000. Here's where I made the mistake, and I agreed upon it. This is where the mistake came in. So they should be at $1,200 a month because I didn't factor in the insurance and the taxes. So that came right out of my pocket. You understand?
I do, but you got a big enough spread that you're going to make money on it. You didn't have to go to.
Yes and no, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
We're getting a little deeper into the deal, but basically what happened on this deal, I worked it out to where the buyer on the monthly payments, they'll pay the house off in 7 years. So I'm adding a smaller portion, probably around another $250-300 a month to the equity on the property. So they'll have a free and clear property at the end of the day, but I get to make about $400 a month. The problem where I made the mistake, I could have made more money, but I didn't factor in the taxes and the insurance.
Coming out every month.
That's coming out of my pocket. So when I ended up working out, I fixed the problem, by the way. Yeah. When it ended up working out is I extended the agreement with them another 8 months to make up for that money.
The difference. Okay, I'm with you now. So you had a problem, but you made it up by extending the term in which they would make more payments to cover the difference.
Right.
So right now you're sitting on a deal with a $20,000 spread. They gave you $15,000 up front. You used $5,000 to pay off the arrearages to stop the foreclosure. You put $10,000 into your pocket.
Right.
And they still owe you another $5,000 when they close, right?
They still owe another $5,000 when they close.
On the equity spread, which means they'll end up paying that off over the 7 or 8 years.
Right.
That they're in it.
Because our interest rate on this property, now remember, we're paying down a property a lot quicker than they're paying off the property.
Right.
So, and the reason why that works is because our interest rate on the property is only 4%. No, it's actually 5%, and we're charging 10%.
Yeah.
You understand? So we double the interest rate. So we're making money on interest. We're making money on the monthly payments.
Right.
Make money up front, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, no, I love creative deals. I mean, I tend to lean more on the lease option side, but I mean, it goes back to comfort, right? I just know it so well. I lean in on it a lot more. So
these options it's actually easier to put together than
they are. Look, I mean, I have a training course. I'm sure you have a training course on lease options as well. I mean, I teach it. I call it a lock, lease option control, because you're just not fishing in the same pond. that everybody else is fishing in. And you're able to do deals that like you said earlier, like most wholesalers or investors, they don't look at it as any potential. I mean, there's a strategy that we teach, which you're probably real clear on too, is, how we can actually buy a house that's upside down on a lease option.
Yeah, long-term lease options, man.
Like let's say it's worth $150, but they owe $170. We'll do the deal.
Right.
The purchase price is going to be whatever's owed on the mortgage at the time of close, and we're going to do a 20-year lease with you.
Exactly. You got to give it enough time to create that equity in that property. That's right, man.
Right. Because over 20 years, that thing's going to get bought down, and then now I've got a deal.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly right, man.
So that's the beauty of creativity, right? So tell me what went right on this deal. What was something that you were just like, man, that's how I need to do it every single time on these deals? What went right?
Well, you think about the numbers. Although we made a slight mistake on not calculating the taxes and the insurance, everything else went right. We collected $10,000. Think about it. On these types of deals, creative deals, you get the money up front just like you would on a wholesale deal.
Yep.
So we received $10,000 up front.
Yeah.
Well, $15,000, but after,
I'm with you.
Stuff like that, $10,000. We get money every month. Few $100s every single month. That takes care of you can take care of a cell phone bill, or you take care of a utility bill or something like that.
Or pay for more marketing.
Pay for more marketing. And on top of that, we get money on the back end when we sell. So how can you go wrong? So you get paid literally 3 times versus 1, which you'll get on a wholesale deal.
No, trust me, man. I preach it all day long. I did a class at my REI one-day boot camp on lease options, and I was we call it the trifecta payout, right? Like,
I love it, man.
We use the fancy word, right? Yeah. Like let me talk to you guys about a trifecta payout. Because you can't do that in other real. You can't get paid 3 ways on other real estate. And like you said, it's the beauty of wholesaling, rentals, and rehabs all in one.
All in one.
You get paid up front, you get paid monthly, and you get paid on the end.
And you're not doing any work.
Right. They're not calling you because the toilet's, clogged up, and they're not, having you do this. No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Okay. Man, I could talk forever with you, man. You got some good stuff here. So answer me this. How long did it take you to execute from the time? Oh, no, I got one other question.
Oh, let me tell you how I found this, by the way. That particular deal was found through Facebook traffic.
So the other one was through a postcard, and this one was through Facebook traffic.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what would you think you spent to actually acquire that lead?
Maybe $1,500.
$1,500 is what you spent to get that lead.
Yeah. No. To get that lead, we're talking $200.
Maybe in marketing. If we look at cost per lead, you had a $200 cost per lead to acquire that lead that turned into a deal.
Correct. Now, to acquire that deal, I spent $1,500 to acquire. If we're looking at it, from a grand scheme of things, I think about $200.
$200 for the CPL.
Right.
The cost per lead. Exactly. That lead cost you $200. Exactly. Would you say you have a cheaper CPL on Facebook than you do postcards? Postcards
were right around $250. I want to say $300.
Okay.
So right.
No, I'm hearing numbers like that too from other people. So I was talking to a guy the other day. He told me he's getting leads for $30. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
I was like, "What are you doing?"
How many times can I spend $30?
I know, right? I'm like, man, you got to tell me what you're doing, man.
Crazy, man.
So, all right. So talk to me about this. What was the length of time? So the seller called in, you had your very first conversation. From that time to the time you actually executed the contract and close.
That's a great question, man, because a lot of people think that, when the sellers are going to call, you're going to sometimes you will get that deal, but the real money is in a follow-up. So she called me. It probably took us about 5 weeks to get that thing completely.
Okay.
About 5 weeks.
Because you had to build the trust. You had to build the relationship.
She was ready to go, but we couldn't get her back on the phone for a while. And then finally she called us and said, "I'm ready to go."
Gotcha.
That's how we did.
All right. So Jamel, tell me this. What's your goals for 2020? What's your goals coming up?
Me? I want to be like you when I grow up, man.
Oh, man, come on. You don't want to be like me, man. You don't want to be like me, man. What's your real estate goals, man?
So I want to ramp up we're ramping up right now, and my goal is to do about $6 million next year.
Gross sales?
And gross wholesale fees.
Yeah.
So I want to, in order to do that, I factored in we need to be doing on an average of 2 closed deals per day, which is about 60 deals a month, with an average profit of about $8,500. Now, naturally, that's going to be wholesale fees, but if I'm factoring the creative stuff as well, then we won't have to do as many deals because we get paid more money on the creative stuff. But that's my goal. I'm gonna reach out to get it and see what happens.
Like $500,000 roughly a month that you need to produce.
About that.
Yeah.
It's about right.
It's not impossible.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, it's not impossible, but I don't want anybody watching this right now. Right. I don't want you thinking you're just going to run out and start doing $500,000 a month in sales. Like, let's get realistic, Man. Jamel's been doing this for 18 years now, right? 18 years.
That's right.
Yeah, so he's built a system. He's built the process. He's fallen and gotten back up. He's had wins. He's had losses, He hasn't lost all of his hair yet. That's why he's not doing $500,000 a month.
That's right. But you know what, Zach? There are newer guys who've been in the business for 5-6 years who are producing those types of numbers. Yeah. So it's not impossible.
No, I'm saying new. 5 to 6 years is not new, right? I'm saying new, like this is the first time they've watched a video on real estate ever.
Oh, yeah.
Or they've been in for 3 months, 6 months, been doing a lot of YouTube, video watching. I don't want to set false expectations is what I'm saying, is all. All right, man. Well, listen, I want to know something else. What do you feel about the market right now? What do you think it's going to do?
I feel like 2020, maybe 2021, we may end up seeing some type of dip in the market. Okay. The reason why I say that is because I'm thinking late 2020. If I'm looking at, looking at all the numbers and all the signs that are pointing to it. Yeah, we're so similar to the way we were back in 2007, 2008. Yeah. The difference is there's not a lot of illegal activity going on. So we may not take a dip, but I think we may have a step back. We may have a slowdown. If
we all had a magic 8 ball like me, we would know the future.
That's right, man. But I think that there may be some type of slowdown, but I don't think that we're going to have as big of an impact on the market as we did 12 years ago. But who knows? I don't. I'm just here for the long run, and I'm going to adjust to whatever happens. Right now, if you're brand new, this may be hard for you to really understand, but watch what hedge funds are doing, right? Right now, hedge funds, they know that there may be a market dip eventually. So what are they doing right now? They're buying and holding in primary markets. That's what they're doing, right? So when the market dips, all they got to do is wait and eventually ride that market right on up and then cash out of everything. That's the name of the game. That's called investing. If you're looking into wholesaling, then you're playing more of a middleman's game, which is cool. But the people that you need to be trying to get in contact with are these hedge funds, because what's going to happen when the market takes a dip, again, a lot of buyers are going to dry up. But if you have those big relationships going, and it's not easy to get in contact, LinkedIn might be a good place for people to get in contact with some of these hedge fund managers. But if you're not in contact with these guys now, it's going to be difficult to find buyers later on.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
So now
you're right. What's
if you're on the fence?
So give me so somebody's watching this, they're brand new, never done a deal before. What's the best advice you can give somebody that's brand new?
Just get started, man. I didn't think, for me, and I'm speaking for myself, I didn't think about, what if this happened or what if that happened. When I came into this business, I jumped in, I was all in. I didn't think about failing. There was no such thing as failure. I just did it and I figured it out as I went on. There's a lot of education. We didn't have this stuff. We didn't have YouTube back then. We didn't have, everybody and their mother is an educator now. We didn't have that stuff, right? So you guys have the benefit of all of this information that's out there, but it's not about the information, because information is going to lead you nowhere unless you put it to work. So you got to work understand that you're going to fall. Understand it's going to, you have to take action. Understand that you're going to have to invest into yourself, because if you don't invest into your marketing, you're never going to reach your goal. You don't invest into your education, you're going to make a lot. You're going to spend more money trying to figure it out than you will investing into some education. So that's where a lot of people fall. So at the end of the day, my belief system is this, I'm guys like you and I, Zach, when we didn't have all of this stuff, we made it happen, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine the newer person, if they're willing to make it happen, not to go for an answer,
look,
and have all of this stuff to back them up.
That's why they're growing so fast. The ones that are trying to make it happen.
Us.
I know. I say it like this, man. I believe, even though we have access to more tools and systems now than we've ever had, access to more types of money than we ever had, I still believe for the new person, it's even harder right now, though, in an essence, because there's so much micro information out there that, back when I got started, I had one guy that I followed and he taught me everything. And then I went out and did it. And then I found another guy and followed him. Now, man, you go on YouTube before you go to bed, you're watching 16 different people talk about one strategy and teaching it all a different way, and it's like,
you got to be careful who you're listening to as well. Think about that, because a lot of these guys started off maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and all of a sudden they're an expert. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong.
Look,
they're contributing to the community.
But to your point, man, I know people that did a couple of deals last year, and now all of a sudden they want to teach people. But I want to say this, though. I do want to say this.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Like, if that's their passion, let it be. Like, but, there again,
contributing to the community.
Yeah, it helps the community. And the whole reason you and I ever got into coaching, right, was we wanted to help other people find financial freedom. And if these people can do that and do it in a way that keeps them safe and legal, then by all regards.
And make sure you're providing the correct information.
Right.
That's my only, if you're going to do it, and I love the fact that you're doing it, but make sure that the information is correct. There's a lot of guys out there who are providing really good information, and they're relatively newer. Yep. And I got to give them their props, man. Respect to those guys.
But it's still difficult for the new person when they're getting stimulated. I call it micro stimulation, micro content on the web. You can't learn how to be a successful real estate investor watching 30-minute clips, you got to really get in with somebody and really follow a person. Anyways, Jamel, it's been great. I got my hot fire questions. I've been on here almost an hour with you. That's unnormal for us.
We just had an hour and a half long conversation the other day, and we didn't record it, man.
I know, man. We had some good stuff on that call. Here's my hot fire questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What's your best place to go on vacation?
St. John.
St. John, man. Big baller over here. Wait a minute. What's your first automobile?
A Toyota Camry, a 93 Toyota Camry.
93? I had a 72 Gremlin.
I had the cracked windshield. I didn't have a door handle, so I had to roll the window down to open up from the inside. But it got me everywhere I needed to go.
That's right, man. A to B. What's your favorite season or holiday?
I like the fall. I like the cooler weather, and I like the fact that I don't sweat as much during the fall season.
Amen, brother. What's your best podcast that you've listened to on business or anything that you go back to it all the time?
I have to be honest, man. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts.
Okay. All right. Not a problem. What's your favorite food then?
Man, if you're asking me what's my favorite food.
Yeah.
I like burgers and pizza, man.
Okay. Be honest about it. Are you a early riser or do you sleep in?
I don't have a choice but to be an early riser.
You got kids.
Four kids, man.
I hear you. I'm the same way. I know my kids are going to be up by 6 a.m. no matter what. Yep. I better be up before them.
Yep.
All right. What's your favorite book that you've read lately?
Man, so many. Right now, let me look through my Audible. I actually just purchased a book the other day, but I'm not a...
Man, I just got tuned in on that Audible app. I love that thing, man.
I'm not a I don't like to read much, man. I have to be honest. I like
fall
to
asleep when I read.
Yeah, I'm an audio learner, and if I'm looking through my library, I can give you several, man. There's so many powerful books out there. The most beneficial one that I've gone through recently.
Yeah.
And I actually, it's one of my go-to books all the time. There's two of them. I like Sam Walton's Made in America.
Okay.
Love that book. Absolutely love. And I love The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I haven't read the Sam Walton one yet.
Well, you got to check it out.
I don't really, I do a lot of speed reading through books, but man, when I got turned on to Audible.
Yeah. Oh, I can work out and listen to books at the same time.
And here's my favorite part. I'll put that thing on 1.5 to 1.7 speed.
Yep.
Just because here's why. When all the distractions are away and you just got that going, you can comprehend it at that speed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing it for somebody here the other day in the office. And they were like, you can read that or hear that? I'm like, yeah, I can catch it. All right, what's your favorite movie, man? Tell me about that. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, man. My favorite movie. The first movie I've ever gone to see.
Okay.
I remember my mother took me to the movies around 1988. Coming to America.
Oh, I love that movie, man. He was looking for a princess. So where did he go?
He went to America. He went to Queens.
Queens, that's right. Oh, that's not a princess. He wanted a queen. And so he said, oh, look, Queens. Let's find a queen in Queens. I love that movie, man. That's such a great movie.
I'm from the county of Kings.
Are you?
Kings County, Brooklyn, New York. Yeah.
Kings and queens, man. That's what we were made to be, right?
That's right, man.
That's right. Well, Jamel, it's been awesome, man. I'm glad you came on and shared so much great information, tools, marketing, strategies, creativeness, some good insight for the new people. I mean, you definitely shared some good nuggets on the Coffee with Closers show.
Awesome, man. And I don't need Google. My father knows everything.
That's right.
I love that.
Who needs Google? My dad knows everything. So, cool, man. Well, listen, you've heard it here and you heard it first with the Coffee with Closers show with Zack Attack. My good friend and guest, Jamel, was on here with us sharing some bombs. I think I'm going to call this one How to Make Mistakes and Still Make Money.
There you go, man. I love it. I made a lot of them.
Listen, guys, if you're watching this, you love this, you've seen some of the other ones, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified every time we post one of these. We got lots more of these coming out for you. Follow us on Instagram, Zack_Childress, and you can check us out on Facebook as well. All the links will be in the description. This is Zack Attack, and I'll see you next time.